Maybe you should stick to jobs you actually belong in, sneered Ryan Carter, deliberately tipping a can of ice-cold white cola over Monique Taylor's head. The white, fizzy liquid drenched her silk blouse, dripping down her face and pooling onto her designer blazer. Around them, 15 co-workers froze mid-task, phones forgotten. The fluorescent lights caught every glistening droplet as it slid down her expensive heels that could buy Ryan's monthly car lease 3 times over. Monique stayed perfectly still. At 34, she had learned that silence could speak louder than 1,000 angry words. "Oops," Ryan said, crushing the empty can with theatrical care. Accidents happen when people get above themselves. 3 employees had already raised their phones. Someone whispered into a headset in the back, voice trembling. "Have you ever been so publicly humiliated that your blood turned to ice? Knowing justice is exactly 30 minutes away?" Before we dive into this shocking story of justice and accountability, let me know where you're watching from in the comments. Hit that like button and subscribe if you believe everyone deserves equal treatment under the law, no matter their skin color. Now let's move on to the story. Monique's fingers brushed against her soaked blouse, silently counting down. 30 minutes until the CEO arrives. 3 months ago, Monique had walked into Innovatech Solutions with a plan. Undercover, using her maiden name, dressing down her usual professional style, blending in as a frontline support agent. Her husband, David Taylor, the CEO, had built the company from the ground up. Now with over 800 employees, he needed eyes on the real ground floor reality. The first week had been enlightening, the second, concerning. By the 3rd month, Monique had documented a pattern that made her stomach churn. Ryan Carter ruled the customer service floor like a tyrant disguised as a charming manager. At 31, he had clawed his way up the ladder through a toxic mix of manipulation, intimidation, and small, daily cruelties. His discrimination wasn't obvious. It was 1,000 tiny cuts meant to break spirits quietly. "Taylor," Ryan said, his voice slicing through the post-lunch quiet, "let's talk about your performance review." Monique stood dripping in the middle of the conference room, saving her work, unshaken. Around them, co-workers pretended to type, sneakily recording every word. Jessica in accounting held her phone high. Marcus near the window angled his laptop just right. Ryan perched at the head chair like a king in a courtroom. "Your metrics are interesting." Monique's heart remained steady. "Interesting? How?" she asked calmly. Ryan opened a manila folder, flipping through pages with exaggerated care. "I see someone who doesn't understand their place. Someone trying too hard. Someone who acts like they belong somewhere they don't." Monique's eyes narrowed. "Explain what you mean by that," she said. He leaned back, exuding cruelty. "Look, Monique, can I call you Mona? I know your type. You think college makes you special. You think you deserve the same treatment as people who've earned their place." "I see," she replied, voice steady. "Do you? Because your behavior today suggests otherwise." Ryan's voice sharpened, angrier. "You questioned my process improvements in front of the team. You act like you know better than someone with 8 years of experience." The room was silent except for the subtle hum of air conditioning. Monique's mind replayed that morning suggestion, a minor change to the customer callback process that could save thousands each month. Ryan had dismissed it, then snapped. "How dare the new girl have ideas?" he muttered, barely hiding the flash of rage. "I was trying to improve our numbers," Monique said. Ryan laughed, sharp as broken glass. "Our numbers? There's management and staff, Monique. People who make decisions and people who follow them. Guess which one you are?" Through the conference room's glass walls, Monique saw the floor pretending not to watch. She noticed Jennifer from HR rushing toward the elevator, likely called away. "I understand the hierarchy," Monique said. "Do you? Because your entire presence here suggests confusion about your role." Ryan gestured at her soaked appearance. "The way you dress like you belong in board meetings. The way you speak like you went to a fancy school. The way you act like you're part of management discussions." Monique's phone buzzed. A message from David. "Board meeting ran long. Home by 4. When? Are we discussing my performance or my wardrobe? She asked. Ryan's mask slipped. I'm discussing whether you're Innovatech material. Your attitude today suggests you'd be happier elsewhere, somewhere suitable to your background. What would you consider suitable? Monique asked quietly. Retail, hospitality, places where your energy might be appreciated, Ryan said. The silence in the room thickened. Phones tilted to record, hands poised. Monique's lips curved into the faintest smile. 2:45 p.m., 15 minutes until everything changes. Monique watched Ryan strut back toward his corner office, unaware of the storm about to hit. The sticky cola still clung to her hair, dripping slowly, but she didn't flinch. Her phone buzzed again. A calendar reminder. CEO quarterly visit, 3 p.m. A calm smile crept across her face. 2:47 p.m., 13 minutes left. Inside Ryan's office, he sank into his ergonomic chair, oblivious. 3 things had already occurred that would shatter his carefully constructed world. 1. Jessica from accounting had uploaded her phone video to the company Slack channel, captioned simply, "Unacceptable." Reactions were climbing by the second. 2. Marcus, the Windowside employee, had forwarded his recording to Samantha, Innovatech's head of legal, and David's direct report. 3. Someone in the back corner had begun cross-referencing Monique's face with last year's company Christmas party photos, realizing this was no ordinary employee. Ryan ignored the subtle signs. The cola incident had seemed impulsive but effective, a reminder to everyone on the floor of who was in charge. Monique returned to her cubicle. Her laptop, personal, untraceable, contained 3 months of careful documentation. Timestamps, witness names, recorded conversations, a digital trail that could make any attorney weep with joy. She opened a new document. Incident report #48, date redacted, time 2:32 p.m., manager, Ryan Carter, Idaho, RC 991, location, conference room B, witnesses, 15 staff members present. Description, physical assault via liquid dumping, verbal harassment, discriminatory remarks regarding education, professional appearance, and background suitability. Her fingers moved with the precision of a former corporate litigation attorney. She knew exactly what evidence would stand in court. Tamara from the next cubicle appeared silently, holding a stack of paper towels. Her face was tight with barely contained fury. "I can't believe he did that to you," she whispered, glancing toward Ryan's office. "Completely out of line." "Thanks," Monique replied, accepting the towels, noting how fear still ruled the floor, even in support. "I recorded some of it too," Tamara continued, "if you want to use it." Monique nodded, taking a deep breath. These small acts of courage were the cracks in Ryan's empire. Tamara leaned closer, voice dropping further. "He's done this before. Different people, same pattern. HR never acts because he's careful about witnesses and documentation." Monique's mind raced. Targeting employees he thinks won't fight back, until they quit. "Has anyone ever officially complained?" Monique asked. "A few tried," Tamara said, "but he builds his own cases, performance issues, attitude problems. Makes it look legitimate." Monique's calm smile widened. She already had 93 days of airtight evidence. Every insult, every humiliation, every act of discrimination, documented, time-stamped, witnessed. The floor around them felt like a courtroom. Phones subtly aimed, eyes quietly watching. The suspense was almost unbearable. Every click, every sigh, every movement heightened the tension. 2:50 p.m., 10 minutes left. Monique's hands hovered over the keyboard. Her calm, calculated breathing contrasted sharply with the storm brewing in Ryan's office. He still believed he controlled the room. He still believed in his power. But very soon, all of that would end. The office felt heavier than usual. Every click of a keyboard, every hum of a phone, every subtle shuffle of a chair carried weight. Monique stood in the middle of the conference room, cola still dripping from her hair, silent. The clock on her desk ticked closer to 3 p.m. Ryan Carter returned to his office, smug as ever, unaware that the trap was closing. He flexed his fingers, ready to draft a scolding email to HR about Monique's attitude problems. Then the intercom buzzed. Conference room B, immediate attendance required. CEO Taylor is here. Ryan froze. His smugness faltered. What? His mind raced. Monique allowed herself the smallest smile. Calm, collected, untouchable. From the elevator, David Taylor, CEO and husband of Monique, strode toward the conference room. His presence was magnetic, commanding respect with every step. Employees on the floor instinctively straightened, whispering, eyes darting between Ryan and the approaching figure. 2:59 p.m., 1 minute left. Ryan's heart hammered. He knew something was coming, but he had no idea how complete it would be. Through the glass walls, employees pretended to work, but every eye was on Ryan. Phones hovered, silently recording. The suspense was palpable. Monique had become the silent center of attention. Yet the calmest person in the room, Tamara, leaned over quietly, whispering, "This is it, the moment everything changes." Monique nodded, brushing her wet hair behind her ears. 30 days, 93 incidents, and endless documentation had led to this single, decisive confrontation. The glass door slid open. David entered, eyes scanning the room with cold precision. Ryan's confident posture wavered. "Ryan Carter," David began, voice even but carrying the weight of authority. "I've been made aware of some troubling behavior in my company." Ryan stammered, trying to recover. Mr. Taylor, this is a misunderstanding." David's gaze landed on Monique. "Is that correct, Monique?" "Yes," she replied, calm and unwavering. "Everything he said and did today, and over the past 3 months, is documented, witnessed, recorded, time-stamped." David gestured to the employees recording discreetly with their phones. "Every single person here has seen what has happened." Ryan's mind raced. "They can't all be against me, can they?" David clicked a few keys on Monique's laptop, bringing up her meticulous spreadsheets. Every number, every cost, every HR complaint, every turnover statistic was laid bare. "Your behavior has cost Innovatech Solutions," Monique said quietly, "over $900,000 in direct financial loss, plus the untold cost of lost talent and reputational damage." Ryan's jaw dropped. He had no idea she had quantified it. "Discrimination settlements," she continued, $285,000. Legal fees defending your actions, $190,000. And that's before we calculate the reputational damage from public reviews of your department. She pulled up Glassdoor ratings, showing a mountain of one-star reviews from former employees. Ryan's world began to crumble, each statistic another hammer striking at his fragile ego. Employees whispered in awe, barely containing excitement. The silence was heavy, tense, and electric. Monique leaned forward slightly. "And here's the part that matters most. All of this was recorded with clear witnesses. Every insult, every threat, every discriminatory action you've done to me and to others is fully documented." Ryan's face went pale. You can't. This isn't legal." "I can," Monique said softly. "California law allows recording of public workplace interactions, especially when documenting criminal behavior, and your employment contract explicitly allows company monitoring for compliance purposes. You signed it 3 years ago." "Don't," David Taylor added firmly. "As CEO, I have the right to review any interactions on company property, and you've been doing this for 93 days. Ryan's knees went weak. The conference room seemed to tilt around him. The employees, previously silent, were now witnesses to the collapse of his empire. 2 hours, 59 minutes, and 45 seconds. PM 15 seconds until the official confrontation begins. The conference room felt like a courtroom. Every chair, every desk, every employee was a witness. The faint hum of computers and phones only amplified the tension. Monique Taylor stood tall, cola dripping from her hair, eyes steady. A predator in the calmest guise. Ryan Carter's confident facade had completely crumbled. His chair felt too small, his suit suddenly suffocating. His carefully constructed image of authority was unraveling in front of the entire floor. David Taylor, CEO, stepped forward. "Ryan," he said, voice controlled but lethal, "you have three options today. Choose carefully, because your choice will define your career, or end it. 1. Immediate resignation. O forfeit severance and benefits. O permanent ban from Innovatech property. O hope criminal charges aren't pursued. 2. Termination for cause. O full report filed with Department of Labor. O criminal charges for assault and harassment. O background checks for the rest of his career will reflect workplace violence and discrimination. 3. Viral exposure. O. All 93 days of recorded incidents released publicly. O permanent reputation damage. O his name forever associated with toxic management, harassment, and abuse. The employees held their collective breath. Phones hovered. The hum of the office seemed deafening. Ryan swallowed hard. I need time to think," he whispered, voice trembling. "No," David said firmly. "You have seconds. Everyone here is about to hear our new zero-tolerance harassment policy. Will you witness it as an employee, or will security escort you out?" Ryan's mind raced. His empire of intimidation, built over years, was gone in minutes. Sweat beaded on his forehead as he scanned the room. 63 eyes staring, 93 days of evidence laid bare, the cost of his actions quantified. The CEO immovable. I resign," he whispered, barely audible. "Louder," David commanded. "Say it so everyone hears." "I resign, effective immediately." Ryan's voice cracked. The words echoed across the floor, sealing his fate. Security arrived silently, escorting him from the building. Every step of his exit was watched, every humiliation documented, every moment immortalized by the quietly recording staff. Monique allowed herself a slow, satisfied exhale. The storm had passed, but the ripple effect was only beginning. Back at her desk, Monique began typing the final report. Every number, every act of harassment, every financial cost was meticulously cataloged. Employee turnover, 34% above company average. Cost of replacement hiring, $127,000. Lost productivity during transitions, $89,000. Overtime due to understaffing, $156,000. Discrimination settlements, $285,000. Legal fees defending Ryan's actions, $190,000. Reputational damage, hundreds of lost qualified applicants per month. The total financial impact, $1.2 million. Tamara Carter leaned over her shoulder. This is justice," Monique nodded. "Not just justice, it's transformation. The floor we once feared is now a model for real change." Even after Ryan's exit, the suspense lingered. Employees were shaken, still processing the rapid collapse of the tyrant they had silently endured. Every whispered conversation, every lingering glance at Monique carried awe and fear. Monique's phone buzzed again. A message from David. "Prepare for the company-wide address. The floor is about to witness a new era." The countdown wasn't over yet. Every second held potential drama. Employees were about to see accountability, consequence, and the power of courage in action. The conference room had emptied of Ryan Carter, but the atmosphere remained electric. Employees lingered at their desks, half listening to calls, half watching Monique Taylor. Phones were out, quietly recording. Whispers filled the air, but nobody dared break the fragile silence. David Taylor stepped to the podium at the front of the floor. His presence alone commanded attention, his calm voice carrying over the room. "Today marks a turning point at Innovatech Solutions," he began. "What you witnessed was unacceptable. What you endured, some silently, is not the way we operate. It will never be the way we operate again." A murmur ran through the floor. The tension was palpable. Eyes widened, glances flicked to Monique, who stood with her laptop open, documenting every reaction. David gestured toward Monique, giving her the floor. She clicked her laptop, projecting charts into the conference room monitors. Employee turnover, 34% above industry average, costing the company $127,000 in replacement hires. Lost productivity during transitions, $89,000. Overtime due to understaffing, $156,000. Discrimination settlements and legal fees, $475,000. Talent acquisition losses, approximately $400,000 in missed opportunities. The total, $1.2 million lost due to one manager's abuse of power. The room fell silent. Employees exchanged stunned glances. The numbers were undeniable, tangible, and devastating. Monique's voice cut through the silence. And this doesn't include the most important cost, the fear, the humiliation, and the psychological toll on every employee Ryan targeted. Tamara Carter, standing nearby, whispered to her neighbor, "I never thought we'd see someone held accountable like this. Ever." Monique added, "Our culture is no longer built on fear. It's built on accountability, transparency, and protection for every employee." She clicked to another slide. Anonymous employee feedback before and after the intervention. Before, "I dread coming to work. I'm afraid to speak up. Management ignores us." After, "I feel safe collaborating. Ideas are heard, even by leadership. I no longer fear retaliation for speaking the truth." The contrast was stark. The emotional weight of the transformation hit the room like a tidal wave. Monique continued, pacing slightly, projecting spreadsheets detailing financial recovery and productivity gains. Reduced turnover savings, $234,000. Productivity improvements, $187,000. Customer retention increases, $145,000. Reduced legal risk, $89,000. Improved talent acquisition, $156,000. Total measurable returns, $811,000 within 90 days of intervention. David Taylor added, "We will break even in 6 months and generate over $3 million in value over 2 years. But the most valuable return isn't money, it's our people, our culture," employees murmured, some openly cheering. The suspense shifted from fear to exhilaration. Monique's quiet leadership and meticulous planning had turned the floor from a place of dread into a model for workplace transformation. Even after Ryan Carter's departure, the tension lingered. Who else had witnessed his behavior? Who else had been affected? Every employee felt both relief and lingering anxiety, knowing their courage and vigilance had been pivotal. Monique's phone buzzed. A message from David. "Prepare for the next step. Innovatech Consulting is going live with our transformation model." The ripple effect of courage, documentation, and accountability was about to extend far beyond the walls of this office. The floor was quiet but alive. Phones still subtly recording, employees whispering. Monique Taylor sat back at her desk, a small, controlled smile on her face. Her documentation had just become the blueprint for systemic change, and the first wave of consequences was already crashing. Within minutes, Jessica from accounting uploaded her recording to the company's internal Slack channel. The caption, "Unacceptable behavior, full accountability required." By 3:35 p.m., the video had been shared with Innovatech's legal team, HR, and David Taylor himself. Within the hour, the clip leaked externally, not maliciously, but as proof of a toxic work environment eradicated. The video went viral. Hashtags like #InnovatingJustice and #Sodagate trended within corporate circles. Thousands of professionals watched the humiliation and downfall of a manager who thought power was his shield. Ryan Carter's face appeared on screens everywhere, a symbol of unchecked arrogance finally punished. Panic replaced his earlier smugness as he realized his reputation had been permanently tarnished. Monique moved to review the floor. Tamara Carter, once a quiet observer, was now promoted to assistant manager. Marcus Thompson, who had quietly ensured critical recordings were forwarded, was appointed head of Innovatech's Diversity and Inclusion Committee. Employees exchanged awed glances. Justice had a face, and it was their colleagues' courage. David Taylor addressed the floor. Starting today, Innovatech Solutions operates on zero tolerance for harassment, early intervention systems, AI monitoring for conflict, and transparent reporting channels will ensure every employee feels safe. Monique added, every incident you witness, every harassment attempt will be documented. This isn't about fear, it's about protection, about culture. Employees leaned in, absorbing every word. The suspense lingered. This was a transformation unlike anything they had experienced. Charts flashed across screens. Reduced turnover, $234,000. Productivity gains, $187,000. Customer retention, $145,000. Reduced legal exposure, $89,000. Talent acquisition improvements, $156,000. Total measurable return, $811,000 in just 90 days. Monique's quiet authority and strategic planning had turned a toxic floor into a corporate jewel, a model other companies now envied. Ryan, meanwhile, was scrambling. Background checks flagged his termination for harassment. Job offers evaporated. He enrolled in diversity certification courses at a nonprofit, his pride bruised, salary slashed, reputation permanently damaged. Even months later, hashtags like #Sodagate trended whenever workplace harassment was discussed. His downfall became a case study in corporate accountability, a cautionary tale. Despite his removal, tension lingered. Employees wondered if another tyrant would rise. But the culture shift, driven by Monique's courage and meticulous planning, made it impossible. Every whispered conversation, every employee glance, reminded them that justice had a new guardian, and she was watching. Months had passed, but the echo of that fateful day lingered in every corridor of Innovatech Solutions. Employees who once feared retaliation now walked with confidence. Productivity soared, morale reached unprecedented heights, and the culture of fear was replaced by a culture of accountability. Monique Taylor, once just a victim of workplace abuse, had become the architect of a corporate revolution. David Taylor approached Monique over coffee one morning. People need to see this everywhere. Your approach, the documentation, the evidence, the legal precision, it can save thousands of employees from toxic environments. Monique nodded. We create a system. Workplace Transformation Consulting. Step in, identify patterns of abuse, and implement accountability measures before they spiral. Innovative Consulting officially launched. Within 6 months, 47 companies had requested interventions. $23 million in potential lawsuits were prevented. Over 12,000 employees were protected from harassment and discrimination. Waiting lists stretched months into the future. The ripple effect of courage had become an unstoppable movement. Monique and David partnered with historically Black colleges to create the first undergraduate program in workplace culture transformation. A waiting list of 400 students eagerly enrolled to learn how to prevent, document, and address workplace abuse. Legislators and corporate leaders cited Innovatech's methodology as a model for systemic change. Workplace reform legislation in 3 states drew directly from their case studies. The hashtags #Sodagate and #Workplace Justice became rallying cries, spreading awareness and empowering employees nationwide. Tamara Carter, promoted to assistant manager, reflected, I used to fear coming to work. Now I feel empowered to speak up, knowing I will be protected. Marcus Thompson, leading the diversity committee, added, for the first time in my career, I see that change is not just possible, it's happening. Every employee on the floor had a story, and each story reinforced the power of courage, documentation, and accountability. Ryan Carter remained a cautionary tale. Despite enrolling in diversity certification programs and attempting to rebuild his career, he could never escape his past. Background checks permanently flagged his harassment record. Job offers were limited to entry-level positions at nonprofits, with salaries drastically reduced. His name, once synonymous with authority, became a warning in corporate circles. Even in isolation, Ryan reflected bitterly, one act of arrogance, one underestimated woman, and my career was irreversibly destroyed. Monique Taylor's influence extended far beyond one office. Her meticulous planning, her calm courage in the face of public humiliation, and her dedication to documenting abuse had created a model for corporate accountability, a cultural transformation inspiring other companies, educational programs teaching the next generation how to fight harassment, legislative change that protected thousands of employees nationwide. The suspense of that soda incident has sparked a revolution, proving that one person's courage could dismantle systemic abuse. The camera pans over Innovatech Solutions' transformed floor, employees collaborating confidently, smiling, and thriving. Phones still quietly record, not for punishment, but to ensure accountability and fairness. Monique walks across the floor, glancing at each employee. We will not allow fear to define us. We will not allow silence to be our culture. Change is possible. Change is here. The screen fades to black. The hashtags #Sodagate and #Workplace. Justice flash briefly, a reminder that courage, evidence, and accountability can ripple into systemic change.